with the project to change the sewage treatment plant. So if you go back a couple of years, and I know I've been here, so if I'm being repetitive, let me know. A couple of years ago, we had the situation at Bay Park Sewage Treatment Plant. Now, if you live east of the Meadowbrook, your sewage in Nassau County, so that would be everything, east of the Meadowbrook will be everything North Merrick, Merrick, Belmore, Montauk, everything east of the Meadowbrook, your sewage goes to Cedar Creek Park, which is down by Merrick Road. If you live west of the Meadowbrook, your sewage went to Bay Park, which is in East Rockaway. So, long story short, as many of you probably know, Superstorm Sandy wiped out our Bay Park sewage treatment plant. We had to spend literally hundreds of millions of dollars to get that sewer plant back up. But in that process of that property being destroyed, what we also had to do was we had to restore or remediate the properties that were also impacted by that. So we had backed up sewage on Barnes Avenue in Baldwin, and then a few areas coming up a little bit north of that. So we were pretty much on the line where we had to do something. Now, if I said before, east of the Meadowbrook includes Uniondale, Hempstead, and other parts. So we created what DPW created a diversion plan, which basically would send a portion of the Hempstead sewage and along that pipeline from a portion of Hempstead to Cedar Creek. Cedar Creek is a much more efficient plant. Cedar Creek was generating roughly about 55 million gallons, whereas Bay Park was taking on a little bit more. And then also, Cedar Creek basically has an effluent pipe that goes out to the ocean 5 miles, where Bay Park was dumping into Reynolds Channel and just sitting there. So even though it was treated effluent, which is treated sewage, it was sitting in the bay, just idling. So this was a better position for us to be environmentally. It was a better position so that no one wants backed up sewage in their property. And overall, we were able to access federal money to be able to try to do it. So now how does this impact Jerusalem Avenue? Well, there are only 3 conduits that go from where the sewage treatment pump station is. You might saw that being created and developed over on Peninsula and Front over in Hempstead. That's the new pump station that was being built. There are only 3 paths to get to the pipeline to be able to pump the sewage to Cedar Creek. It's either Nassau Road, Front Street, or Jerusalem. Now, we could have easily done it down Nassau Road, or we could have easily done it down Front Street. Now, the problem with Front Street is a state road in certain parts. So that wasn't really doable for the county without getting those sign-offs from the state. So Jerusalem Avenue became an option. So fast forward to where we are today. The Jerusalem Avenue diversion project hit a lot of hiccups. As many of you probably know, and Pearl alluded to today with the 7-Eleven that's going on at the Mobile and the former Mobile gas station. It hit a lot of hiccups because obviously there were gas tanks at that property, and when they were doing their dewatering, which was those big, how can I describe it, locomotive type of equipment that was there, what they're doing is basically they're digging up the ground to lay down the sewage piping. They are also dewatering because obviously Long Island is underwater, or the water's below us. So as they're digging, they're bringing up water, and those machines are pumping the water and putting it up. Unfortunately, when we realized that we were digging the water, part of could possibly be from the tanks that were there, not just at that gas station, but years ago. If you remember, there used to be a Shell gas station across the street where the Walgreens is. They realized there were contaminants that were there that were associated with potentially those gas stations. So in doing the right thing, the county, which requested a permit to do that work, had to stop the work because they had to show that they got the levels of those contaminants down by trying to remediate that work. So that added months to this project because we had to get the proper permits whether it be to the state and other jurisdictions, to be able to try to remediate that property. So fast forward to today, I know many of you drive down there now. The road is a little bumpy, so we're looking to the spring to be able to resurface the road, and then eventually, by resurfacing the road, what I really want to do is once we get Untitled Avenue done, just completely redo the road. And that kind of ties into what I want to do secondly. Many of you probably know there are a tremendous amount of accidents that occur on Jerusalem Avenue, especially down by Leonard and Path and that neck of the woods. Many cars that are trying to make lefts onto Jerusalem Avenue when they're facing north, especially down by Dr. Cameron's, if you're familiar with Dr. Cameron, her daycare center down by there are many accidents that occur. So I've charged and I've asked our DPW team to take a look at what we can do. I don't know what is going to be done. We haven't discussed all the ideas, but if you're familiar with what we did on Nassau Road had 25 fatalities a year, pedestrian fatalities a year on that road before we did some type of level of road design. And if you remember Nassau Road, it basically didn't have the median, didn't have any of the bump outs. Now the bump outs, I think, kind of are difficult for the community to get used to, but the median could have some merit, because what that would do, which I know would make some of our lives a little tough, it would restrict the people from making lefts. So that would prevent us from having those accidents. Or we could potentially look at adding more traffic signals, which that area's got a lot of signals already. There's a signal on Florence in Jerusalem, and then there's another signal on Bedford in Jerusalem. There's a ton of signals there already, so I don't know if that's the proper remediation either, but we have to do something, because we've had some really close calls in that neck of the woods. I want to say between Bedford going into the Hempstead area, so that's another part of our more global plan that we're trying to do to address Jerusalem. Untitled Avenue, I mean, obviously, you've all seen the work that's going on. I'm thankful to be working with Pearl and Heidi and the town and everyone else. So what you've seen is phase one. We had gone back and forth in terms of what phase two was going to look like. Phase two is pretty much everywhere we're standing now, all the way up to Front Street. Finally, just last week, we sat down with the town, our DPW sat down with their DPW, and we were finally able to hash out who's going to do what. Because the town is a little bit more advanced in terms of securing their procurement, the county is going to enter into an intermunicipal agreement, which is a fancy way of just saying they're going to do the county's portion once we give them the money, and they're going to procure the services to finish up phase two, very similar to phase one, which is still, phase one's still going on to some degree, because we can't really do the road until the spring comes, but it's going to be the lighting, the pavers, the crosswalks, and everything along those lines as part of phase two. So that's going to be a really exciting project. I look forward to a day when we're actually done with the road and we're actually able to focus on the infrastructure and be able to get the uniform signage and everything else that goes along with that. But that's something that's, in my mind, that's part of another phase of this project. So that's Untitled Avenue. And then last but not least, and I'll be happy to take any questions, the hub. So most of you probably read over the last couple of months what's going on. The hub project, which is being developed now, the county selected Scott Reckler, RXR, same guy that has the old EAB Plaza is what I used to call it. Now it's RXR Plaza. Basically, he's been charged with developing the property. The county he has to come to several jurisdictions. He has to go to the town, but he has to come back to the county once he decides what he wants to do. How that impacts Unionville, which is the most important part, is that we were able to negotiate a community benefits agreement, which has a minimum of $1 per square foot for the property that's being developed. Now, keep in mind, that property he plans to develop 2 million square feet. So we were able to negotiate $1 per square foot per year. So in essence, the community benefits agreement has a value of anywhere minimally of $2 million a year for a 30-year agreement, which would be $60 million. The part that really impacts Unionville is hopefully, if the town and the county executive select Uniondale residents, I plan to select a Uniondale resident for, two Uniondale residents for the Community Benefits Committee, then in essence, there could be potentially 5 people from the Uniondale community out of 9 that represent us on the Community Benefits Committee, which is tremendous because the committee decides how they divvy up the $60 million. So over a course of years, and I'm sure the schools and the fire district, the library, there's gonna be a lot of people, stakeholders like yourselves, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna want access to that. So between this, just to break it down, my office has 2 picks. The town board has 1. The supervisor in the town has 1. The county executive has 1. The minority and the majority, I'm sorry, the minority also, majority has 1. And am I forgetting anybody? I think that's it. So at the end of the day, we have a great opportunity to represent a large portion of that committee. And I would say there will be a time where we as a community will have to come together with the members that represent us on that committee and be able to present our ideas of what we see for our community. I'm sure there's going to be a plethora of ideas, and no idea is bad. So I think from that standpoint, we have to brainstorm and figure out the best way to utilize that. But there's a little bit of time on that. The most important piece now is putting together the committee with the right people to represent us. So I don't want to take too much time, because I know you guys got probably tons of questions. I'd rather take some questions and see where we are. And I know there's some other speakers that are here tonight, so okay. I don't want to take too much time.
Yeah, Kevin does have another meeting to go to. He was gracious enough to stop by early, so we're just going to take maybe 3 questions. And if you have any further questions, well, I just want to say something short.
Email me.
Yeah, just give me the questions at the end of the night, and I will definitely email Kevin with the questions. But we'll start with 3 questions. If you have any further questions that you can't ask him tonight, just leave them here, and I'll make sure he gets them. George, you can start.
Yeah, talking about Front Street. You're talking about accidents on Unionville Avenue into Jerusalem. We have an enormous number of accidents on Front Street. I don't know what plans you all have for Front Street, but I don't know if traffic lights would help some of the situation that crossing seems to be a big problem in Front Street.
We could take a look at Front Street from the standpoint of the accidents. I would just probably need some assistance from the state, because Front Street's a state road. It's the same reason why we were able to build the sewer pipe underneath. Some parts, when you go into the village of Hempstead, which I don't know where you see these accidents, if it's in the Unionville side or the Hempstead side.
Unionville side.
So that's going to be a state responsibility. So quick cheat sheet, if for anybody that is wondering, whenever you see a green traffic signal, it's a state road. Whenever you see a yellow traffic signal, it's a county road. So Front Street, for the most part, as you go through East Meadow and Uniondale, is a state road. But then there's portions of it as you're going this Front Street goes all the way down into Fulton, Hempstead Turnpike, that area. Some parts are county road. So for this particular thing, we can study it, but any remediation that we want to do on the Unionville side would require us to talk to the state. Only the state can really put in traffic signals or anything else. So I mean, I could definitely talk to the state representatives for that area. Would be Kevin Thomas, the newly state senator, and Taylor Rayner will be your senator. But we can study it. So what I will tell you is, Pearl will report back to you. We can do a study to determine how many accidents have occurred, as well as God forbid, we can also share with you some of the fatalities and some of the injuries as well. That I can do, but the remediation will be required to be done by the state.
Reggie?
Yeah, how the transportation is going to go to and from the Coliseum, and what direction, what communities are the transportation going to go through?
The buses, you mean?
Buses, train, anything that's going to this new hub you're talking about.
Okay, so none of that has been determined. in terms of the flow of traffic. That's what is being a part of the process now. They're going to utilize this time, the developer has to present a traffic mitigation plan. He has to be able to present all that to the town in terms of the density and what he plans to build. None of that has been determined yet. The only thing that has been determined, I know some of you, I recognize you came down to a few of the hearings that we had in the legislature. The only thing that has been determined is that RXR has the ability to be the master developer,
Right.
which eventually they will develop the site. And by the master developer, that gives them the responsibility of going out and seeking people to actually be potential tenants at the site. But he's also responsible for traffic. He's also responsible for doing the traffic impact studies, the environmental impact studies. He's still required to do that. But he has 24 months from when we passed this in December to do that. So he has until December 2020 to present those ideas to what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, the reason why I asked you that, because it seems as though they're going to be bypassing Hempstead with some new type of train tracks or something. I'm trying to figure out how did that come about?
I haven't heard. I've heard that with previous proposals, Mr. Lucas, but I haven't heard anything in regards to what he's doing that requires any type of fast rail, monorail, train, or anything like that. Rapid transit. The only thing I can think of is that they would try to incorporate some level of rapid transit with the bus system, a nice bus system, which that would be creating dedicated lanes for the buses, so they can get to and from the hub of the village of Hempstead to the hub of Nassau County. That's the only thing I can think of, but I haven't heard anything regarding monorails, or light rail, or anything like that. Not in this proposal. Previous proposals, yes, but not this one.
We have one more question.
Sure.
Anybody, one more question for Legislator Abraham? Yes.
In the back.
How do you go about choosing community benefits committee, sir?
Yes, so the Community Benefits Committee, I think I got the numbers jumbled up. The Community Benefits Committee was part of the legislation that we created when we actually designed the master developer. And I don't want to bore you guys with all the details, but there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of fighting that was going on in regards to what the developer was going to do. So finally, when we were able to agree to a number, we also required to put in a committee that would actually be charged with advising the county on how the money would be spent. So we came up with an odd number, because obviously you may have some disagreement. And the way it's structured, let me make sure I get this right. The county executive has one, the town has one, the supervisor has one, the the county minority in the legislature, which is myself and my Democratic colleagues, we have two, and the majority has two. And then the rest of the appointments are made up of, then two other appointments are made up from the developer. That should get it to 9.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, if my two picks, the county executive's pick, the town's pick, which in essence would be Councilwoman Gooseby, because she's the only one that represents the developer, and the supervisor's pick are all from Unionville, in essence that would be 5 spots out of 9. Which would have much say in terms of what the community benefits agreement actually looks like. So I think that's a good, solid composition, considering there are plenty of other surrounding areas. I know Reggie's from Hempstead, so I know she would have loved to see Hempstead be represented in that as well. So there's a lot of other parts, but to get 5 people from this immediate area, to me, it speaks volumes that are going to have a tremendous say in that.
Curran and Commissioner Ryder asked us to speak a little bit about the phone scams that have been going on. I think everybody knows about them. If you stay home one day, just like Legislator Abraham said, you realize how big of a problem it is. You sit home and you just get call after call after call after call. I'm going to start the program by saying this, and I'm going to end it by saying this. Your best thing is, if you don't know the number, don't answer it. It's the best way of not getting scammed. If you don't recognize the phone number, hopefully you have caller ID and you have an answering machine. If you have those two things, you don't have to really worry too much about it. If you don't recognize the number, don't answer it. And if it is somebody who really needs to get a hold of you, They'll leave a message on your answering machine, you can play it, and you'll get back to them. I know we've all been programmed our whole life, the phone rings, you go and answer it, it's important. But I think times have changed now. There are a lot of people, bad people out there who are trying to take people's money, and unfortunately, fortunately, I mean, most of us recognize what's going on, but there are a lot of people out in the communities that don't, and we'll go over a few. Some people get scammed out of a lot of money. So that's why Commissioners asked us to do this presentation. I don't know, it's kind of hard for you guys to see, but it's broken down and it's from 2015, 16, 17, and 18. Phone scams were starting to go down. We had 217 in 2015, 185 in 2016, and then 151 in 2017. It was tracking down. But then we found last year, in 2018, we had 262. So it's really coming back. And the problem is, especially the elderly. The elderly are fall a lot of, most of the time are the ones who fall prey to the phone scams. The elderly people are more trusting, and they usually get targeted more. They're the ones home more during the day, and so we've been finding that that they've become more susceptible to the phone scams. Now the phone scams can vary. There's different things. The main one with the elderly is you'll get that phone call, and you might have seen a commercial on TV, like somebody pretends to be a relative, usually a grandchild. That's what they always tend to use. And they usually say they're in trouble. They're going to need money. They were in an accident, they were arrested, but they need money right away. They're usually in another country, and you need them to send them money. So that one's been going on. It's gotten a lot of people caught in that scam because being a grandparent, you're trusted, you worry about your grandchildren. One of the main things, if you get a phone call and you're suspicious about it, never give out any information. Don't give out any information about yourself, and please, after you're done with the phone call, recheck with that person. Find out if they really were, call a family member, find out if they really were on vacation or if they are away. Most of the times, it's, definitely it's usually just a bogus situation. Sometimes it's government agencies. Now, it's the season coming up with everybody's paying their taxes. You'll get the IRS scam that people are calling up, oh, you owe money for the IRS. That's another one that goes around a lot, and just be wary of that one too. The IRS is not going to call and make inquiries. You'll usually get sent a letter first requesting if there's any problems. So most of the times you're going to know if you pretty much had tax issues and everything. So you're going to know if there's any issues with that. Sometimes it'll be a utility company. They'll pretend to be a utility company, saying, oh, you haven't paid your bill, you owe back. That's another thing. You should kind of know, you should pretty much understand if you did fail to pay a bill, you remember it. Again, that's another one. Sometimes they'll say these prize winners that you you won money. But lots of times they'll come and say you won money, but you're going to have to pay us this amount of money so you can collect the money. You're going to have to use some common sense and realize if I won money, I'm not going to there's no reason for me to have to pay any money to win the money. Most of the times, it's a big giveaway if they're going to ask for, could you pay us in gift cards? Right then, gift cards or the iTunes cards, we're going to need the money paid that way. Any legitimate company is not going to ask for any payment in gift cards, Home Depot cards, anything like that. So that's another reason to be wary if you hear any information on something like that. Again, like the kidnap, arrest family members. They might say, oh, we're holding so-and-so, we're holding your grandson, and we need money to pay for ransom. Again, your best thing is to hang up, check on to see if those person is really not around. And again, with the government agencies, the utility companies, or the lottery prize winners. Sometimes with the kidnap, I can give you a personal story. My mother actually got a call years ago, and the person called up and said, called up and said, Grandma. And again, what my mother made the mistake of is giving out information. She answered my son's first name. She goes, Sean. He goes, oh, yes, it's Sean. And then he said, oh, Grandma, I'm in, I don't know, wherever I was. I'm on vacation in Aruba. I had a car accident, and I broke my nose. That's why I don't sound the same. But I need money. I got arrested. I was drunk, so they need money to get me out of jail. Can you send me? And she was starting to fall for it, as she said. And she talked to the guy for a little bit, and then she was able to get off the phone, which is usually very odd. They usually try not to let you get off the phone because they know once you have you on the phone, they're not going to let, they have a better chance of getting the money. But then she was able to hang up the phone. She called me immediately. She said, Danny, where's Sean? I said, well, Sean's at work. He's working today. And so right then she knew. And they did actually call back later, and my uncle ended up being at the house, and he, warned them not to call back again. But that's the kind of stuff they do. They'll say, or they'll say, I was arrested and I need bail money, and you have to send bail money. Again, anytime they use the example of sending money cards or these green dot cards, always be wary of that. That could be part of the scam. Again, the iTunes, Google Play cards, green dot money cards, MoneyGrams or Western Union. Now the worst one, and it's the worst one, but it's the only time we're going to catch somebody. Because with these calls are coming out and they're made by a computer. And it's almost impossible. It's impossible for the police department to track where the calls are coming from at this time. We're working on doing our best to try and get our technology up to try and track this down. But right now, it's very hard. They just do these robocalls, and like let's say Abrams said, once you pick up the phone, then somebody comes in and answers on the line. But they're very hard. They also do what's called now, you might notice, spoofing. Now, your area code, just say for around here, might be 437, and you'll notice when the caller ID comes up, it's going to say 437. So you feel a little more familiar. You go, oh, it might be somebody, it might be one of my neighbors, it might be somebody I know. So it might tend you to pick up the phone call, but it's still an illegitimate call. Our recommendation is if you don't know the number, don't pick it up. That's our best thing. You won't get in trouble that way. The cash, lots of times they'll come and they'll be asking for cash. Can you give us $9,000, $10,000, whatever the request is. Now, believe it or not, that is our best way sometimes, and that's how we get to these cases where we have court people. In this case, I'll just read it. A 91-year-old female received a phone call from an unknown female claiming to be her granddaughter. The subject further stated that she was arrested and in Haiti. The female caller then passed the phone to a man posing to be a sergeant who told the victim that she needed to withdraw $9,000 in U.S. currency to pay the bail. She was then told to put the money in the mailbox out in front of her residence and somebody would come and pick it up. Now, of course, this lady got all scared and she did it. But then after retrieving the money from the bank, the victim became a little suspicious and she contacted her granddaughter who was at work. The victim then contacted police. The good thing about it, the police were at the house at the time where this gentleman came to pick up the money and he was arrested. This other one, you probably might have saw it more. This was on News 12.
Yeah,
this happened back in Oceanside. Here's a picture of somebody at the Ring doorbell. Here's the guy coming right here to collect the money. In this instance, he got away, and that's another thing. Lots of times they'll keep on coming back. They did 3 separate incidents, and it totaled $45,000. They took I think like 10,000 originally, and then they said, oh, we could probably get more. They came back, oh, we need more money, and they came back, and she kept on. This is a stack of $100 bills. She's handing, you can see her handing across, but it came back 3 different times. They finally it was found out, and they contacted police. And through other information, I found out there was a gentleman who was living in the Bronx, and he came out and he was arrested. He was arrested for it. So believe it or not, cash is always tough to lose, but sometimes through getting it, that's our best way of catching anybody. So we're just trying to remind everybody to be alert about it. It's going around. It goes around a lot. It's happening. Again, the best way, if you don't answer it, you can't get scammed. All right. If you don't recognize the number, don't answer it. Okay?
Thank you. Friday at Councilwoman Goolsby, Senior Councilwoman Goolsby's office. Clarence, are you here? Clarence, thank you for arranging that meeting so quickly. Clarence, stand up and introduce yourself to our community, Uniondale.
How you doing? My legislative aide, Councilman Dr. Boozy's office. My name is Clarence Shelton, as you said.
Clarence Shelton, he's the legislative aide for Senior Councilwoman Goolsbee. He made that meeting happen on Friday afternoon real quick, and Patty and I, got a short notice, but we came up there and we met with Mr. Ramos, and is it Ramos or Ramos? Ramos, with Mr. Ramos, and we spoke with him, and we were very impressed. He has really good ideas, and he had already formulated an action plan to help make Uniondale a cleaner community. Come up, Mr. Ramos.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jesse Ramos. I've been working with the sanitation department almost 20 years. I had the opportunity to become foreman recently, like 2 weeks ago. And I'm here for the community to help everybody, to have the streets clean. And again, I'm bilingual, and a lot of people don't speak English, and I'm there for them, for the whole community. I'm here representation of Councilman Goolsbee, and any questions, you go through her, and then they're going to get to me, and we're going to solve any problems.
I hand out flyers to you, and it was in Spanish and in French. So why I did that, instead of handing you out the English one first, I wanted you to get an idea of, we have students that are in a children's program at the Children's Museum. And what happened is that they take them before they get into kindergarten and pre-K. They take the Spanish and the French students, and they teach them the necessary needs of learning how to eat at lunchtime, how to throw the garbage, the garbage can for them. They teach them English, and they show them how to get along with each other before they get into kindergarten. It's a summer program, and it's free. So I have a representative from the Children's Museum tonight. So I wanted you to see how they feel when they don't understand English. So this program is interacting them into the English acting of classes for them to start in kindergarten. So we have tonight Mrs. Carol Joseph from the Children's Museum over there on Children's Row. Museum Row, which is the Garden City side.
It's not real deal.
No, it's not.
No, we're not gonna do it.
No, it's okay. It's
Okay, good.
You're welcome.
Carol, you can come over.
No, come up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is a real pleasure to be here tonight. I'm assuming that most of you have seen the flyers. In 2006, Uniondale School District approached the museum just to tell them that they realized a lot of the kids that were entering kindergarten were not prepared at all. Mostly because most of the parents did not send the kids to pre-K. So these kids had absolutely no idea how to behave in a classroom, and their parents could not help them. So because of that, the Children's Museum, located about, 5 minutes from here, Uniondale Garden City. Okay, Uniondale Garden City. So we created this program to actually educate the families that were, that were actually educated elsewhere. We wanted them to understand everything about the American school system. So during the summer, we recruit those kids, and most of them would be Spanish speakers, Haitian Creole, or French. And they would come to the museum for free. We provide busing, we provide snack, we do parenting workshop, and every single thing that we do is free. The money does not come from the state, it does not come from the county, it's all grants. So we're not using taxpayers' dollars to actually have this kind of program. And the reason we only recruit families from Uniondale as well as Westbury is because since we provide busing, it's going to be very hard for us to have a kid on a bus for more than an hour. So we pick them up from home, we drop them, we drop them off once we're done. And again, we try to not only educate the kids in English, but we also have educators at the museum who also speak Haitian Creole, French, English, as well as Spanish. So we've had this program, like I said before, since 2006. And every time I speak to new people, they tell me that they never heard of it. But it actually started in Uniondale since 2006. And right now, since 2012, we also recruit families from Westbury School District.
Thank you. You have the flyers, right?
Good evening, thank you very much. Bear with me for a moment, please. A few months ago, when I was last year, I believe it was November or December, whenever our last, yes, we had an actual, a full presentation here where our chairman, Bishop Goldson, actually presented here, and he gave an in-depth presentation, questions, answers, statistics, all of that. And this evening I'm going to be very brief. We've already been through that, we've been down that road. Just to let you know, the school has been off to a wonderful start. We have at this point a lot of interest in the charter school. We're doing very well. We're doing all that we have to do to meet our state requirements and exceed those requirements. We have been reaching out to the community, and we have gotten community support. Very recently, we had a breakfast meeting / tour of our facility. In case some of you are not aware, we are located near the cradle of aviation, that area. Our area is 100 Charles Lindbergh Boulevard, Uniondale. I can't speak for any of our neighbors in that area, but we are bona fide Uniondale. We recently, at our breakfast meeting tour, invited guests, Nostrand Gardens, Civic Association. I've always been told that nothing is done, or nothing gets done in Uniondale without passing through the doors of Nostrand Gardens Civic Association. And I think this is something that they have well earned. They haven't necessarily always agreed with us, but they have been supportive in recognizing that we are a Uniondale school. We cater primarily at this point to Uniondale residents, although we do not close the door to children coming in from other towns. The charter schools are flexible in that regard. We don't limit it to the town in which we are located. At our recent meeting, breakfast tour, we had other guests, including people from the Cradle of Aviation, Firefighters Museum, the Children's Museum, and we are working very hard to continue a partnership with these various organizations. I think it's very important to always be good neighbors. This is something I was taught as a child. Always be good neighbors and always plant good seeds. And I followed that motto even at this age. So we do everything that we can to coexist within the community, and I believe that so far we are succeeding. We are doing a number of outreach initiatives, and as I mentioned in our previous meeting, as we go along, you are going to see us giving more to the Uniondale community. Our staff collected an abundance of, they purchased toys in lieu of exchanging gifts amongst themselves. They elected to use those funds to purchase toys. to donate to local hospitals and a local charity, a local shelter. As a matter of fact, Bethany House in Roosevelt. I don't believe we have, I don't know if we have any bona fide shelters in Uniondale, but we give the same consideration to Hempstead, Roosevelt, all our neighbors. We intend to share, we intend to help as much as we can. Donating coats, in some instances, food stuff, whatever we are able to donate as good friends, good neighbors in the community. So I really appreciate having this opportunity to update you, to let you know that we've started out well, we're doing well. We look forward to your support. At any time, if you would like to be a part of a team visiting our school, from time to time we are going to do tours. My principal asked me, she could not be here tonight, she has a very young baby, but from time to time we'll conduct tours where you'll be able to come, as a group, small groups at a time, meet with our administrators, get to see what we're doing in the school, and you come to your own conclusion, but the doors will be open to you. Just let us know. I'm going to pass the sheet around. You can sign up. Let me know. I'll keep your names and your information on our invite list. And we're open to suggestions. We thank you for being open to us. I especially have to thank Nostrand Gardens for being so open, allowing us the opportunity to be a part of this meeting. So thank you very much. We truly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I came prepared with my little list. First, I wanted to mention that I am on the board of the Long Island Children's Museum as well. I'm a board trustee. Last month, we lost a teacher in Uniondale. Some of you may have heard about it. An 8th grade teacher at Lawrence Road Junior High School, middle school. She was an 8th grade teacher, and she was the supervisor of the 8th grade, so she planned activities for 8th grade. She planned the graduation ceremonies for 8th grade. Her name was Keisha Wilborn. She was 42 years old. She died suddenly. She worked that day, went home, and died, quite simply. And so there was a great outpouring of sympathy from parents and family, and certainly the students were hit very hard by that loss.
Ms. Maggie, sorry, we can do a moment of silence, please, for her, please?
Yes. The board is working on the budget for next year. We've met several times. We've been working on various things. Mr. Georges is here. He's big on budget work. We've also had meetings with the Bond Oversight Committee. I think they've had two meetings, and they've met with the board to try to get a better understanding of what the Bond Oversight Committee is responsible for doing. So we're trying to work that out and make it clearer for them. There are 11 members of that committee. You may have heard about Schubert School. Schubert School is the school in Baldwin where we have our pre-K students, some of them. There was an issue about lead poisoning, and the Department of Health was involved. It seems that one student was diagnosed with lead poisoning privately, not at the school, through her family. And then this was reported to the administration. And then the Department of Health came All of the necessary steps were taken to investigate what happened. No other students have been reported to have this issue, but they did some remediation at the building, painting and scraping and things like that. And then Baldwin, who was responsible for the care of that building, has now promised to work on that, and they have been cleared by the Department of Health. Oh, and we want to thank UCC for honoring Lynette Carr-Hicks, who's in charge of the show choir, Uniondale Show Choir. She was honored at the dance last month, and we're very happy to be there and also honor her. She deserves all the honoring that we can give her. She's done such a great job with the students. And February is Black History Month. All of the schools will be having programs and lessons and activities related to Black history. You can go to any of them and look them up and see what's happening, what dates. You would be happy. It'll make you happy and it will inform you, and we welcome you to any of the programs. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm pretty loud. My mom always tells me that, so I try to do it out the mic. You guys have been great getting the information to us about getting through Councilman Goosby's office, through Pearl, through everybody. Councilwoman Goosby asked me to come tonight to give you an update of what's going on in the beginning of the year. We had some new trainees that we were able to hire towards the end of last year. They were ready to go at the beginning of the year. We haven't reallocated them to areas, so one of the ideas we used at Councilwoman Goosby's suggestion and the commissioner worked together very well, so we put those 3 people in Uniondale with the inspector that was already assigned to Uniondale to really hit it hard and try to get some of these complaints down and handle some of these issues that you guys are having in Uniondale. So, just to give you the stats for this month, I'm sorry I'm using my phone here, we've had over 375 inspections since January 1. At least 170 notice of violations were issued and over 25 tickets just in Uniondale. One of the things that Councilman Goosby has worked with the Commissioner on, you guys will be probably getting another inspector, so you'll have 2 inspectors just dedicated to Uniondale in the very near future. For now, though, those 3 gentlemen, in addition to the regular inspector, are being assigned doing things in and around Uniondale. I've also jumped in myself occasionally and handled some issues with them as well. The weekend guys have been given special assignments in Uniondale to try and really handle those complaints that we're getting in more proficiently. We've looked at different punching the numbers and stuff like that to really hit it hard, because you guys have stepped up your game and gotten us the complaints so that we can address the complaints to you guys, because as you know, we work on complaints. So I'd like to thank you guys for really getting us the information, and through Councilman Goody's office, through Pearl, just getting us the information of what you guys see are the problems so we can address them. And we are taking those steps to move forward and really make this place where it should be, as you guys are taking a concerted effort to make Uniondale everything it should be. So thank you guys, and thank you for allowing me the time to speak a little bit.
Years. So he asked, can he come to our civic meeting and speak about some, good plans that he has for national clients. Welcome, AJ.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thanks for your time. Just want to give a little background of our business that we've been in this community now for almost 50 years. We're a family owned and operated for almost 50 years, serving Uniondale and our local communities of Nassau County. My father and my uncle started in Uniondale, up the block a little bit at a garage, moved to Jerusalem, where they were there for many years. Now we've been on Uniondale Avenue, where we have been ever since. Our family business never left this community, and we want to continue serving the people of Uniondale and all of Nassau County. We get involved in certain company, or we get involved with many, I'm sorry, I'm not a good public speaker.
Doing fine.
We donate money to the Untitled Fire Department for fund drive. We also donate appliances for them for Fire Prevention Week. We donate freezers to our local churches to help out, especially across the street, the food pantry. So I don't remember the name of the church. Okay, we donate when they have the food drives over there. We donate there. We also we also on Terrell, we pay for a street light for all these years to keep that street lit up and people safe during the night. I don't know if anybody knew that. We give special discounts and pricing to all the people that live in Uniondale. We support everybody who lives in this town for many years. We work closely with the Department of Social Services and supply refrigerators and ranges to the families that are needed. Now, I heard people say, I have this container on the side of my building. That container is full of appliances ready to go for people in social service that need it right away. So that's my container that I keep in for the service, social service. We've seen many changes in Uniondale throughout the years. Now a new positive change that we see happening, the beautification in Uniondale Avenue. Since we've been a part of this community for so many years, we also feel that it is our part to contribute to this project. We are planning as a family and as a business, when the weather changes, we plan on painting and repairing our building. We want to install a new fence. We like to paint the container so it blends in, but they'll also put lighting and cameras on the side of our building. We also place garbage pails along our property on the side, so people, instead of just taking their garbage and throwing it on the street, they can put it in our trash, instead of the ones that we have right on Uniondale Avenue. So, we're trying to stay positive. My uncle started this business so many years ago. My uncle was part of the Chamber of Commerce. He's passed away now. My father really never got involved. But as a family now, I decided that we should start getting closer with our community and give back. Any questions? Yes.
In the back of your building,
Yes.
all of those,
Yes.
I don't know if they're broken or
What that
workable.
is we provide a service when we deliver appliances. When we deliver the new appliance, instead of taking and leaving the old one on the curb and leaving it on the street and for sanitation or somebody get hurt, we provide a free service to bring it back to our shop, put it behind the fence, and then we dispose of it.
So your new fence is going to cover that up? So
My new fence, yes, we're going to put in, we have trees, they're like wild trees. We cut them down, they grow back. We cut them down. We want to cut all those trees down. We want to put up a whole new white vinyl fence. I don't think I can get a vinyl fence as high as that container, but that's where we want to take the fence and the container and repair the side of my building and blend it all in. We'll paint it all white. We're going to put lighting on the outside of that building. We'd like to put, cameras also for safety.
What about the sidewalk on Terrell?
I spoke to the planners that they came about a week ago, I think it was. They looked up, and I asked them, well, what about here? They said, well, they took pictures and they're going to try and find out if that's also included. If that's not included, that we'll take care of. That's been broken as long as I can remember.
How many code enforcement has he got?
He did come into our office.
Yes.
He did come into our office and meet with our inspector, and he actually met with me as well. And one of my suggestions was to meet with the Civic Association, and try to be, because he said he wasn't involved with the community. He has gotten, he has gotten written up for issues that address this thing, and that's why he's come in and addressed and wanted to address it with the community as well as address it with us. He's going to have to file necessary permits and stuff like that. He's on board to doing that, and that's why he just wanted to thank you.
For that. I'm glad that you came out.
Only one thing
The can that you stick out, sometimes you use it for days when it's not garbage day. Can you put that back up to the sidewalk?
That might be the deli next door that put the garbage cans out.
That's part of your building, though.
Yeah, I can bring that to his attention.
Thank
But
you.
we are trying to, be more positive on our community. I wanted to make sure, our plans, were
Because you want
accepted.
it to look nice, because the streetscape is going way up the front street, so.
Yeah.
You want
Yes,
to be a part of that.
correct. That's why, my dad, my uncle, it's not broken, don't fix it.
And now we got to fix it.
Now as a family, ourselves, to start giving back and doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
One question.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
one question, yeah.
One question. AJ, I'd like to offer you an opportunity to give back to the community. The Uniondale Community Land Trust is an organization that's looking at zombie homes and renovating them to make them available for affordable housing.
Yes.
We would love a donation of any kind of appliances. We'd give you billing. We reach out and work with you. We've got one house that's under development as we speak. It's actually going to start very soon. And this might be an opportunity for us to reach out to you and say, give you an opportunity to get back to the community.
Definitely. I'll give you my card, just get back to me, and I would love to work together with you. That's
Great.
fine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, AJ, thank you for coming. He approached me and he asked to come. And we're so happy that, we want you to be here for another 50 years. So maybe your son will take over or what, but anyway, family member. But we are so happy that you're coming and you want to contribute to the community and you want to make the community look better.
Yes.
And we appreciate that.
It's our time to
And
do it.
we're going to encourage all of the proprietors and all of the businesses in Uniondale, especially on Uniondale Avenue, to spruce up their locations and as much as they can and make it look better to complement the streetscaping that's occurring on Uniondale Avenue. Thank you,
Thank you
AJ.
very
We
much.
appreciate
It's also,
it.
our renovations that we want to try to do is after the weather changes. And it's impossible to do. with
No,
this
we
weather.
understand. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And welcome back to us. It's the first Monday of every month.
Every time.
Of the Greater Uniondale Area Action Coalition along with Jeannie Maynard. So whatever you want to say, Paul.
Thanks. Good evening. Just two announcements, one of progress. First, as a reminder, we meet on the second Saturday, that'll be February 9th. We meet at the Uniondale High School. The GWAC meeting starts at 11 o'clock. The Land Trust meeting starts at 1 o'clock. We welcome everybody to come. In terms of GWAC, you heard that the councilman mentioned that, legislator mentioned that there's a committee that's going to be formed for the community benefits agreement. Proud to say that one of our co-facilitators will be on that committee as well, so we'll have representation there. WAC has, I guess for the last 2 months, acted as a conduit to convey information amongst the community organizations so that we all understand what's going on. And as we meet with RXR, we find out exactly what's being discussed. And we share that information so no one walks in without knowing what's going on. And quite frankly, we've prioritized our needs for the community, constantly doing it, but we've developed a list so that when individual groups have met with RXR, they've heard the same thing in terms of our needs. So that's been good. And that will continue to go on during the 2 years. And I'm pleased to say that we have a direct line in, so anybody coming to the meeting will hear firsthand, as best we can, what's going on. The second thing I'd like to announce relates to the land trust. You've heard that we've gone through the process of getting all of our affairs in order. We purchased a house. We've applied for building certificates. We received them. And I'm going to give you a heads up. On February 22nd, right now, we plan on having our kickoff celebration at the house. So this will be not a groundbreaking, but this will be the beginning of the construction work as we celebrate. Everybody here is invited. We haven't picked a time yet. In fact, I'm giving you this before the CLT board has had a chance to vote on it, but rest assured, it'll probably pass. So on your calendars, mark the 22nd this month. It'll be at 774 Macon Place on the corner. We will have the usual photo opportunities, but more importantly, you'll get a chance to meet and see the contractor, and you'll hear about the plans that we have for renovating that house. So you're all invited, February 22nd.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Paul wears two hats.
And we're having a legislative forum this Friday, February 8th, at the Little Theater, 6:30. And it's open to the community. You come. We're having Councilwoman Gooseby should be there. Kayvon Abrams, I think he was here already, but he should be at the high school. There's a number of your politicians. So come with your questions. Hopefully they have answers for you. Again, that is Friday, February 8th at 6:30. I only have 2 flyers right now, but if you leave me your email address, I can send you the flyer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Good evening. I just wanted to let you know I'm president of the library board this year, and we're starting to do some housekeeping. We are planning on painting down here on the lower level, the white. It's pretty, not too great. We're also thinking of getting rid of the blinds and putting solar shades. I have them in my house. They have little dots in them, and that will keep the heat from the sun from coming in and the heat in the building from going out. That's a couple of the things that we've started on. we're also looking into getting an engineer. There's always back and forth about a second floor. I definitely want to know if it's a feasible thing. So they're going to drill down and let us know that if these supports will be able to hold up a second floor, and then we'll find out what the cost is and go from there. So those are the plans we have so far, and there'll be more coming, because I'm a doer. And anyway, so Dr. Mangan has something to say.
Dr. Mangan was just sworn in last week as the new president for the Uniondale Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I really want to thank everyone that came the other day. I want to thank everyone that's here. Basically, you know, the point of everything that we do is the fact that none of us can get anything here done by ourselves. We need, you know, the town, we need the citizens of this community. It's really just a lot of work between a lot of people. So it's never any one person that's going to solve anything. And as frustrating as things get, I really want people to really take to heart that people do care in this community what happens. And if you just give it a moment, you know, hopefully, you know, your problem will be solved. And with that, I really want to thank everyone that's here, because there's a lot of things each one of you could be doing when you're here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations, Mariano. And
thank you very much.
Mariano has been, in fact, Mariano sat with us on the 7-Eleven meeting.
Oh yes,
last week. He popped in and we called him last minute. I mean, really last minute. And he stopped what he was doing and came over and joined us for the 7-Eleven meeting. We've been having so many meetings, I forget who's there. Unbelievable. But thank you so much, Mariano, for joining us with that meeting. And he's working with the community, he's working with the civics, and I know he's going to do wonderful things, and we're going to partner together and do great things. So I'm going to close this out, but I'm going to give it to Heidi. They're going to close it out, but I just want to let you know that Nostrand Gardens Civic Association, we're all about results, okay? All about results. We're going to be seeing visible and tangible results. Why waste your time when you don't get results? So we're getting results, and with your help, we appreciate it, and we're fighting for our community. Thank you so much. Mariana, yes?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say one last thing. The reason I got to know so many people here is thanks to Ethel Heavens. It was really for, we worked at the Board of Elections together for years, and it was just such long days there. We talk about anything and everything. And she was the one that explained that this group existed here, and she explained the landscape of the other civic groups, but it was her and her alone that really was the gateway to introducing me to all of you. So thank you so much.
Okay, hi. Anita, are you sure you don't want to give them the Hofstra? Okay, so I'll read to you what we got from Hofstra. It says here, as you may have seen on the news, Hofstra men's basketball is rolling and is one of the hottest teams in the nation. They're just about sold out of one of the games, but they want to invite the community. Free tickets for us, families, friends. The dates are February 7th, February 21st, February 23rd, games in the evening. If you want free tickets, you have to do this. You go onto the web, www.gohofstra.com/ticket request, and you'll be led to the place for free tickets. Once again, www.gohofstra.com/ticket request. And I went to a game last year and it was a lot of fun, so check it out, free. Okay. The other thing I wanted to let you know is, as you can see, there are lots of exciting things happening in Uniondale. And this year will be our 10th annual day of planting. We're going to plant about 1,000 flowers. And now that we've got the beautiful lights on Uniondale Avenue, there are things happening. We're going to make this a big event. It's 10th anniversary. So if anybody would like to be involved in planting of the flowers, you can call Pearl or myself or contact us now. It's not going to be until May, but I just want to, give you a little heads up. And to AJ of National Appliance, if you want, you could consider putting out some flowers, doing something in front of your store. That would make a big difference. So just an idea for you. Yeah. We get a lot of donations for this from Hofstra, other businesses, so it's a big thing, and we're excited about it. Uniondale Avenue is slowly but surely looking better and better. And the last thing I wanted to say, and then I'll leave it to Patty, the good night stuff. Our next meeting is March 4th, Monday at 7 p.m. here. So try to come. We love seeing all of you. It's all about teamwork, doing the right thing. And if each of us do one thing to make this community better and focus in on it, eventually it shows. So thank you. Patty?
From the Hempstead Coordinating Council of Civic Association, they're presenting a day bus trip to Albany, New York for the annual Black, Hispanic, and Asian Weekend Legislative Caucus 2019. Mr. George Lucas is the president.
Reggie Lucas.
Reggie Lucas, and then Barbara Borum, who is on our board, also is vice president with the Hempstead Coordinating Council of Civic Association. So this will leave on February 16th. It's $35 per person. They are sponsoring Uniondale and Hempstead school children to go. So it'll be the adults for free. The children is for free. The adults have to pay $35, or the guardian for the children. So there's registration. We have a few flyers, but if you want more, you can give him your number and he can send you extra copies, okay? And also I was given a copy. I have to give it to everybody and make copies for next month. It's the representatives by the congresswomen, senators, and assemblies that are for Uniondale School District. So you'll know who covers what part of the area for your location. And the Nassau County School District delegates. I will give you copies of that for the next meeting. Thank you and enjoy your evening.